two sets of minutes that hopefully everybody received today. They were emailed out just after lunch for the minutes for February 28th and March 13th. Did everybody or did anybody get a chance to review those minutes? I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Made by Commissioner Estefan, seconded by Commissioner Hu. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, please signify by, or are there any changes, deletions, amendments, modifications? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain. I didn't get a chance. I'm sure they're fine. I just didn't get that.
Sure.
So there'll be one abstention.
Right, except for the vice chairman who abstained.
Who didn't get his emails today?
And I just didn't have time to print them. I was going to bring some, but
My
I just ran out.
2003 cell phone doesn't get emails.
I didn't have time. I'm sorry. I was in the swamp today, solving.
Okay, we have a public hearing scheduled for 7:30 p.m. This is the application for a certificate of location reapproval for a motor vehicle general repairer's license as required under the provisions of section 1454 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended. This is for Gary Ginsberg at 41 South Street, lot number K15009. Commissioner Estefan, if you would please read the legal notice into the record.
Notice is hereby given that the zoning commission of the city of Danbury will hold a public hearing commencing at 7:30 p.m. on March 27, 2012. In the council chambers on the third floor at City Hall, 155 Deerfield Avenue, to consider the following matter. Application for a certificate of location approval for a motor vehicle general repairer's license as required under the provisions of section 14-54 of the Connecticut General Statutes, as amended for Gary Ginsberg, 41 South Street, lot number K15009. Parties and interested citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. Robert C. Malillo, Chairman.
Okay. Just note that this is a reapproval. This site has previously had this use on it.
How long ago?
It had one.
I think it was sat vacant for about a year, and then
Well, when I first got here back in 1988, it had been, and it had continuously for years. And then he let it lapse. He didn't have a tenant, so he let it lapse. Similar to the gentleman on Oak Street. So when he came in and wanted to put somebody there, told him he had to come back.
Thank you very much.
I gave everybody a little map showing the site, and I have the actual plan here. If you guys want to pass it around, I don't know. Do you want to? No? I don't know. So,
with
it's in the
that,
rear of the building. Gary's going to get up and tell you about it.
with that, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
My name is Gary Ginsberg. I own property at 41 South Street since the 70s.
Second, we just need to get a microphone.
Okay. Is it on? Okay.
If I don't, they're going to yell at me at the TV cameras. So. And with that, I'll also take this opportunity to remind any commission member, if you have a question, please turn your microphone on.
My name is Gary Ginsberg. I've owned the property at 41 South Street since the 70s. I've had a number of auto repair tenants there over the years, and unfortunately I didn't realize when it was vacant that permit lapsed, and that's why I'm here tonight to have that reapproved. It's the rear portion of 41 South of the cement block building.
Hold on. Here, point to it so we can see. Where is this retail?
Right here. We call it Unit 6, but the front of the building is red, and the rear is a
I'll bring down the gym.
block building.
Right here, in the rear of the building is the South Street. And the front
Yes.
is like storefronts.
This is the road frontage, this is that part that
Yes.
we talked about.
Right, that's that.
Yeah. This is the lot. See, this is like this. South Street, okay? The front is the strip center, and this is in the rear. You drive around the back, okay?
And it's always been a good use for auto repair. It's out of the way. They don't bother anybody. They don't sell cars. They just do minor whatever's required.
Where the sign, where's this retail?
General
Where it's
order.
gonna be, and it's, what's the back? It's the South Street, like the map.
No.
here.
Nothing there. Offensive.
Is there another one that joins it too?
I'm sorry?
Is there another one that joins your property?
Nelson, does it Nelson?
Nelson Motors is
On the
used
there also a car dealer?
My property and the one on the right, actually, at one time was all one piece of property. We bought it from the Katz estate. We took half, and Mike Shanley and Jimmy Mink bought the other half.
Oh,
We ran a used car lot for years.
Yep. Thank you very much.
And then on the other side of that is the laundrette.
The laundromat's on the corner by the traffic light, and that's all the CM5 zone.
What is this zone?
CM5.
Do we have additional questions for Mr. Ginsburg?
He has a tenant, but I'll make him come because he owns it.
And I understand that obviously you sent the form to sign.
Yeah, there was a communication problem. They sent me the blank form, but didn't sign it, so we'll have to get that FedEx down and get to you. Anybody have any questions for me?
This is,
Commissioner Kovacs.
so you have a tenant that's going to repair cars in this?
Yes,
this
strictly
area?
repair.
And they're going to use the building that's in the front, there's some bays or something in there, or where's?
No, the cement block building in the back is
Okay.
all they're going to use. There's
All right,
a large overhead door that they'll use.
okay, thanks.
Is it a single bay?
Um,
Door?
It's I think a 10 by 12 foot door, but they'll be able to get probably 3 cars in there.
You can't
So
see
that
it.
means it'll help, yeah, it's in the street, you can't really tell, it's a good size building.
Additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Ginsburg.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anybody else here wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody against this petition? Anybody in opposition to this petition? Anybody in opposition to this petition? Would you like to have any rebuttal comments to the overwhelming opposition? With that, I will entertain a motion to either continue or close. Commissioner Haddad,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing this evening.
seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Jani. Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Do we wish to dispose of this? Commissioner Haddad?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move the application for certificate of location approved for motor vehicle general repair's license for Gary Ginsburg, 41 South Street, to old business for a discussion and possible action this evening.
A motion to move into old business by Commissioner Haddad, seconded by Commissioner Kovacs. Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have a continuation of a public hearing. This is the petition of Expect Discount, 100 Newtown Road, lot number M11002, for a special permit for the sale of grocery beer. The attorney did send documentation, which I think was forwarded out to everybody with the agenda. We did, we did ask to continue to receive that, and we did ask the attorney to come forward if there was additional questions. So with that, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Michael Pease. I represent the Expect Discount stores relative to the application pending. I brought with me this evening Mr. James Hocking from the Expect stores, who I felt could answer any questions more directly than I may have been able to the last time I was here. In anticipation of this continued public hearing, I did provide a copy of the discount, Expect Discount beer policy, training guidelines, as well as some general information regarding cashiers, beer sales training, and registered programming that we had spoken, or I had answered some questions on the last time I was here. So I have no further presentation to make other than to answer any questions you may have, or avail you to Mr. Hocking, who may be able to answer some questions directly.
First, I want to thank you for submitting this. We see a lot of grocery beer applications, and I found actually some of this stuff educational. We haven't seen some of this stuff before, so I want to thank you for submitting.
Well, it's our pleasure. I think you will find that the store, Expect, takes its responsibilities very seriously in terms of its training of its cashiers and its employees and the way they handle the beer sales.
So So with that, I'll open the floor to questions. Commissioner Haddad?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, to Attorney Pease, I received the documents, and again, I appreciate it as well. Very well done, and I was shocked. I apologize to tell you that I was shocked to see it this well done. I just didn't know what I was going to get from it, and I did learn a lot from it as well. But it is very well done, and of course, it's nice to read all this, and even though it's in black and white, I guess enforcement is the next issue, and it appears as though from the way this document is, you do take it seriously, so I would make that assumption that you do enforce this piece of paper as well.
They do, and there is a zero tolerance
Yeah.
policy within the expect for their employees.
And I gather that there are actually some things in here as a company policy that goes beyond what the state requires as well. So it is very interesting. What I will say is, not on your end, but on the state's end, it's interesting to see that you have to be 21 to buy beer, but you can purchase it from someone under 21.
That's correct.
That's interesting.
I mean, in a
What are
grocery
you
store,
gonna
it's even less than that, you could be 15.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you worked in a restaurant, you have to be 16.
Right. But I just want to let you know, I appreciated your submission of this.
Now, just clarification, with this purchasing it from somebody 15, they're with the stipulation that a supervisor over 18 authorized.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's just in the state, we don't
Yes.
employ or allow, we don't have employees that are 15, but the state does allow that in what they permit a grocery store for grocery stores, what beer sales to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So do we have additional questions? Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Chairman. The register programming, is that standard programming for all registers? And does the state require that for
The state does not require that at all. There is
the
no...
SKU number and pops up?
No.
Okay.
I will jump in real quick, Commissioner Kelly. We, as a commission, do have the authority to impose additional restrictions or regulations. We could require that in our motion of approval, even if the state does not, and therefore the city of Danbury, with that specific location, that if expect moved out and somebody else moved in, they would have to also have registers that would require that.
That's good.
Commissioner Kovacs.
Okay. The question I have is, I read through this, when you're not selling beer or outside of the allotted time that you're allowed to sell beer, will there be like screens that you pull down over the ground? I don't know if that's required or not, but I do see that in other grocery stores.
That
I
is
see that
required. That is required. So if you have an end cap per se, that you might have a display, that would have to be covered up, whether it's with a tarp or blanket or something to that effect. And if you did have the cold cases,
Yep.
you will have to pull down a screen over that.
Right. Thank you.
Additional questions? Commissioner Kelly.
Yeah, I thank you also for that. We asked about the training, and it is well.
I believe that there was one question that was raised when I was here previously, and it was a question about whether the stores sell singles. I think that was a question, I forgot which commission member had asked that. They do not sell singles of any type. It will be 6-packs only, or cases.
And that would, just for clarification, that's the intention of expectancy.
That's correct.
For the record, once again, should somebody else, should you vacate that building and somebody else move in with that permit attached to the building, they could come back and sell a single item unless, once again, there was a restriction imposed.
You said, previously you said, I put it in the minutes, that you thought the state didn't allow to sell singles.
No, you can sell singles. You can, yes.
I misunderstood that, okay.
The other, just so you get a picture of what the product profile is, there will be mainly imported beers. That's the type of profile that will be in there, not to discriminate against a Bud Light or a Bud Light or something like that. It's not the goal of the store to be the be-all beer outlet. It's going to be a specific product profile that fits into the imported and microbrew product line.
Commissioner Jackie?
Just for the record, the applicant is saying that he will not sell singles, which is great, but the permit says that he can, so they're just saying that they can't, but...
We can
Right, we can condition, that's why.
Okay, all right, so that's something we'll address later then.
Yes.
Okay.
You will be selling.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will, and following up on Commissioner Jowdy's question, I will remind the commission that we have in the past conditioned some of the approval licenses where they could not sell single. Most recently, the location in former Dutchess.
Mr. Hocking just pointed out to me that they will be selling, just so the clear with you, they will be selling Bud Light in those type of... It's just, I don't want anybody to go into the location and all of a sudden see a Bud Light display or a Coors Light display and say, I didn't think that was being sold here.
For me, actually, not being a drinker of beer is a beer, so...
Yeah.
I know there's other people who will say, you know what, there's a difference between them, but
I just
I don't
hope
want
they
to.
have a complete Mexican beer.
I'm sure it's,
Do we have additional questions?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, yes,
Commissioner Haddad.
just for, in case, can you, what are we going to be labeling these exhibits as? Do we want to say everything sent from Attorney Pease is just one exhibit?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call it...
Exhibit A, yeah. Whereas we can label it as expect discounts policies regarding training and sales.
As well as information regarding the electronics.
Yes, that would be part of the sales.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Thank you, Attorney Pease.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody against this petition? Anybody in opposition to this petition? Anybody in opposition to this petition? That, I will assume, is Commissioner Haddad.
I'm sorry, you don't have to come back up. How many years are left on your lease? Do you know?
I believe we have a couple more years, and I believe then we can extend that.
And you have an option after that?
Yeah.
Actually,
I think it's 25.
Oh, okay, thank you. Because our permit's going to the address of your door,
Yes.
as opposed to...
There's a couple of years of an option for them. I think the Attorney Pease is looking through some papers, so I'm going to... Were you looking up?
I was just trying to find the lease. I thought I may actually have a copy of it.
I was pausing because if we close the public hearing, then I couldn't let you answer that question,
Oh.
so...
here, it's here. You sent it to me.
Okay.
So you do need it back, but cool.
Oh, actually, it was submitted, we can actually have it, so... With that,
Right. Go to
Yes.
the address. Yeah, you can open the grocery store and sell it. Yes.
with that, I'll entertain a motion to continue or to close the public hearing. Commissioner Hu, I'd like to make a motion to close. Made by Commissioner Hu, seconded by Commissioner Estefan. Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do you wish to dispose of this item this evening?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Haddad.
I'd like to make a motion to bring the expect discount 100 Newtown Road for a special permit for the sale of grocery and beer to the number 2 under old business for possible action and discussion this evening.
Okay, I think Commissioner Hu is nodding his head, so I'll recognize that as a second.
Yes.
Discussion, I'm moving this item number 2.
We explained that to you, please?
Yes, what we've done was we've closed the public hearing, and now we're going to take this item, we're going to move it under old business as item number 2, so we can actually make a motion and vote on it this evening.
But we have 65 days from tonight to take that action.
Yes.
We don't have to do it.
We could actually even at that point in time decide to not take action this evening, but without moving it to item number 2 under old business, then we wouldn't be able to take action. It's one of those little Robert's Rules of Orders nuances.
The lease was for 20 years from 1997 with an option to renew. Right, right.
20 years from 1997 is more than enough.
Another option after that.
Yes. Okay, so our first item under old business.
Did we vote on that?
Oh, all those in favor of moving this to item number 2 under old business, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Commissioner Haddad. Item number 1 under old business, this is the application for a certificate of location regarding approval for a motor vehicle general repairs license as required in the provisions of section 1454 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended for Gary Ginsberg, 41 South Street, lot number K15009. Now, I'll entertain a motion.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to approve the petition.
Motion
On
to
grounds that is consistent with the previous, the historical use of the area.
Motion to approve with the reasoning that it's consistent with the past history and forms of the neighborhood by Commissioner Hu, seconded by Commissioner Kovacs. Discussion on approval. With that, a yes vote will be to approve, a no vote will be to deny. Commissioner Hu,
Yes.
Commissioner Kovacs,
Yes.
Commissioner Estefan,
Yes.
Commissioner Haddad,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Loyola,
Yes.
Commissioner Tierney,
Yes.
Commissioner Jowdy,
Yes.
and I too will vote yes. 9-0. Mr. Ginsberg?
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, under old business, this will be the petition of Expect Discount, 100 Newtown Road, lot number M11002, for a special permit for the sale of grocery beer. So Commissioner Loyola, you're present this evening, but you were not present for the first half of the public hearing. So for that reason, you're actually not going to be eligible to vote on this petition. So I'm going to actually seat Commissioner Oravets for your vote. Okay. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Commissioner, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for special permit for grocery beer and alcohol. It's obvious that Expect has done their due diligence to ensure that they not only meet but exceed the state's requirements. Their policies, as everyone has identified, is exemplary, and they've taken the necessary steps to monitor and control the sale of beer.
And also, I just note that it does not have a negative effect on any church, school, convent, or charitable institution with a character of the surrounding neighborhood as required by our zoning ordinance. Seconded by Commissioner Estefan. Commissioner Haddad, under discussion, do you have a...
Yes, just as, if you can, your motion said grocery beer and liquor. It's just grocery beer.
Grocery beer.
And also, I'd like to see if the motion maker and the second would consider amending the motion to say that there'd be no singles sold, and that our, if approved this evening, all tenants of the building must follow the policies and sales as submitted as Exhibit A with the Expect petition.
Current and future tenants?
Yeah.
I think what Mr. Haddad is categorizing there is the idea regarding the self-locking registers, or the technology that would require those registers to be self-locking, as well as the training masters. Correct, Commissioner Haddad?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, since it's being offered up and it's going to be utilized for the next 20, 22 years anyway, if they choose to move out, we'll at least have this as part of the approval for the next time.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the tenant will have access to their equipment if they move out.
No,
But they'll have to get it.
but this is accessible. Who knows what technology will be in 20 years anyway?
So you want the technology described in that?
Did you have a question regarding that request, Commissioner Kelly?
No.
Commissioner,
Why would we limit it to not selling one?
Can we hold off on 1 second regarding that question, only because Commissioner had offered as a friendly amendment, so if Commissioner Hu and Commissioner Estefan agree to the friendly amendment, then we can discuss that. Otherwise, you have to offer as an amendment which we vote upon, and then it would fall in discussion there. So just so we know procedurally which way we're looking.
I agree to the friendly amendment.
So do I.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly?
The only question I have is, with any other beer application coming forward, how would we put in place this programming and all the controls it has? You're putting it in place in this particular, but for all the other applicants that come forward,
For this site or for other sites?
Well, what we could do is, whenever we make a motion to approve the petition, we have the option of putting restrictions in that approval, with that approval. What we could do, if we so chose, moving forward, every approval, we could require that they have that technology in there, or we could even ask staff to revisit the regs and write that into the regs as well. With the regulations requiring that technology in it, which would actually make it even more standard. Either one of those two options would be viable for future options. With this one right now, we would just be making it as part of the location approval. And Commissioner Tierney, you had a question.
Yes.
It's not mine.
I don't understand why we're eliminating one, not selling one beer and having to sell 6 or more.
It's a little switch. Commissioner Tierney, you were questioning as to the regards to limiting to...
I don't follow the thinking behind it. If someone wants to have one beer, well, why can't they buy one beer? They have to buy 6. I mean, having 6 is more tendency to drink more while you're driving a car than if you go in and buy one. Why would they even buy 6? I don't get the logic behind it. And why put this restriction on the store? I don't think any store has that restriction.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hackett.
First of all, whether right or whether wrong, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, the thinking this commission has always had the thought of carrying. First of all, there's many establishments in town that we put the condition on singles only. And
Hold it 1 second. Hold it 1 second, please. You're trying to say this. Go ahead.
now a lot of it. A lot of it from this commission came from stores that are located on Main Street or on White Street, where somebody could walk in, get one, and walk out on the sidewalk and drink it on the way home. You know, but we've conditioned that on numerous occasions. We've also had conditions to Dairytown, for example, where beer can only be sold warm, with and not including the same purchase of bag of ice. So we can take so our thinking behind it, whether it's correct or not, is somebody walks into a store, they buy one beer, they get in their car, and they drink it. If somebody's going in to buy a 30-pack, of course they can drink 1 can, but they're generally bringing it home, or they're having a party, or they need a 30-pack or a couple 6-packs. So, you know, that's just one of the things that, since we really can't sit here and we really don't have. These people come to us, they pretty much know in their minds that we don't really have a good reason to deny their petition, the way we're set up in this municipality. So we can at least condition it to try and protect ourselves, and that's usually what we've done in the past. And that's just what we thought. You have an argument, and I have an argument, but I know neither one of us is right or wrong, but...
I think we're overregulating. That's all I'm saying. I think we're overregulating somebody that's in business, telling them they can only sell 6 and not 1. I just don't make any sense to me, but if everybody agrees, I don't care.
Commissioner Hu?
I just want to highlight the fact that I don't believe they plan on selling singles, that we're just enforcing.
We don't know what they're doing.
They said that they don't plan on
You
selling
will
singles.
never sell a single. You don't want to sell singles, you never want it, you don't care.
They indicated tonight that their
Well, they're
intention was not to
why
sell.
regulation?
Because one of the things that happen with liquor approvals, they go with the property, they do not go with the applicant. So we could have somebody else moves in to that, and then they decide.
So why should we let them sell one? I I
You know,
don't
I
get the
would
reason
make,
for not selling,
you know,
that's all.
another possible argument, like, you know, against the single sales would also be, I just think about Nordelli's being next door. So you run into Expect, you get 1 or 2 bottles or cans, take it next door, go get a grinder, go get a sandwich, sit outside, you know, and have a sandwich and consume your beverage that way as well. This way would require them to at least not buy the individuals. But I think, from my mind of thinking, the common frame of thought is if somebody goes in, whether you're going to buy 1 bottle of Coke, 1 can of beer, or 1 bottle of juice, you're buying that to consume it right then and there. If you're going in to buy a 6-pack, you're going in to buy a case, you're looking to take that home and consume them at home, or consume that at somebody else's house. The single sales is like for immediate consumption, and we're hoping to prevent immediate consumption. That's the way I would look at it.
I don't think you accomplished that. I think
Your microphone's not on.
Microphone's not on. So my question is that there are liquor stores that sell singles,
Yes.
correct, in Danvers, right? We know that. Are there any grocery stores that sell singles? And is that just a legacy thing? I mean, is it the position that we're kind of taking is that when people come in front of us to not sell singles? It's kind of what I'm thinking is going on there.
Over the last 6 or 8 years, we started making
Yeah,
that
I mean,
position.
I think most of the major grocery stores don't, but don't forget, there's a lot of little stores that have grocery beer permits, and we didn't always restrict, you know, so there may be some little stores that sell
My
singles.
question
but
is this,
Like
is-
Stop and Shop and, you know, the Big Y, those kind of places generally don't sell singles.
My question is this, and I don't want to keep Expect here any longer than we have to, but just in a general stance, it seems like we're saying that grocery stores shouldn't sell singles and then small liquor stores can. That's what it sounds like we're saying.
We actually.
In the past, in the history of our voting, is what it sounds like.
In the history, and some of it's varied. You know, I know some early on when you didn't get as many, you didn't necessarily think about the restrictions. The more they pop up, the location approvals, sometimes you put restrictions in place. I, for one, you know, most recently reflect back to the petition at the Old Duchess right over there on White Street. One of the concerns was also being a gas station, being a convenience store. You know, the concern of going in, buying 1 or 2, and then once again getting in the car with 1 or 2, the immediate consumption. You're driving and you have that there.
But if
That
this
was the reason for that. It's one of those things that we're looking at. If you want to, procedurally, I believe if we vote no on this petition, we actually deny the petition. So we would actually have to offer up an amendment to either remove the restriction or vote the amendment with that restriction in place. Hold on 1 second. Would that be to your knowledge as well, Commissioner Hack?
Yes.
Commissioner Green?
I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. I don't care if they sell 1 or they sell 6, but that's not the point. My point is, why are we putting this restriction on this, on a grocery store out in the suburbs? You know, if somebody comes in and wants to buy 1 or 6, I mean, we have enough rules and regulations. I mean, it's like we're making up another rule and regulation and adding it to the rules and regulations we already have. I don't see why we're restricting these people when there's no law that's saying that.
Yes, we have the right to do that.
I'm not saying, you have the right to do a lot of things, but that doesn't mean we should do them. I don't think you should have to take their right to sell 1 beer or 6 beers. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason or logic to it. Saying if they buy 6, they get a lot drunker than if they buy 1. That's for sure, but there's no logic in that.
Commissioner Johnny?
The applicant came forward and talked about the last public hearing that we had before, and said that they were addressing the idea of the singles, and said they were not. Because of that, you know, I think we should take it and put the restrictions. I mean, it's good when we can. What I don't want is to set a precedent for this local deli. I mean, they have the same license, I believe, as someone that's going to buy an existing deli or someone that has a deli. And the delis count on a coffee, a soda, a single beer, and a lottery ticket, pack of cigarettes. So let's do it, but let's think of each individual applicant and application that comes in, and not necessarily do 6 packs for everybody that comes in, or you know, restrict the singles.
I agree with what Commissioner Jowdy said, very simply, expect is not going to break down six-packs.
Yeah.
Why give them more than they have to? It leaves the commission the option, if someone comes forward in the future, when expect leads, gives the commission an option to maybe deny or look into it further than just to have it go with the property. They're not looking to break down, so why add more to it?
Which also I may add, just to follow up on that, expect or any other future applicant could come back before us even next week and say, you know what, we had this second thought, you put this condition in, eliminating, preventing the single bottle sales, single can sales. We think we want to look at that. Would you consider removing that? And we have the opportunity, the option at their request to remove that, or any future applicant as well. So at this stage of the game, I think with them standing before us telling us they don't intend to sell single item sales, I think it's consistent with their petition. It allows us to move forward, and like I said, we can always reconsider this at their request or any future applicant's request at any time in the future. Additional, Commissioner Tierney. And I'm going to emphasize the rule and limit, this is your last time to speak. Recognizing this is your third and final speak.
You know, I'll just pass. I don't have to say anything. You don't want to hear it, I'm not saying.
Let's vote.
With that, a yes vote will approve the petition, a no vote will deny. With the stipulations.
You're voting on.
We are voting on the petition with the stipulation prohibiting single item sales as well as requiring the use of technology regarding the sales procedure described regarding technology and the training protocols in the exhibits presented this evening. This was made by Commissioner Hu, seconded by Commissioner Estefan, and with that, once again, yes vote will be to approve, a no vote will be to deny. Commissioner Hu?
Yes.
Commissioner Estefan?
Yes.
Commissioner Haddad?
Yes.
Commissioner Jowdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Kovacs?
Yes.
Commissioner Tierney?
Yes.
Commissioner Oravets?
Yes.
I too will vote yes. 9-0. Congratulations. Good luck. And again, thank you for the educational material that you gave us. There are no items under new business. There are no items under other matters. Under correspondence, we have 3 cease and desist orders. The cease and desist order for Jose M. and Idalina S. Ferreira, 51 Pleasant Street, lot number H15238. This is a violation of section 10B1A, subsection 4, the zoning regulations. A third dwelling unit exists in the non-permitted finished basement. The approved use of this location is a 2-family dwelling. We have a cease and desist order against Triangle Street Associates, Attorney Neil Marcus, 114A Triangle Street, lot number J14268. It's a violation of sections 4B2A, 3G5, and 8A2C4 of the zoning regulations. Prohibited change of use. There are large commercial vehicles and equipment are being stored and operated in a residential property. In a residential zone, and construction of a large earthen berm within 5 feet of a property line. We have a cease and desist order against Triangle Street Associates, Attorney Neil Marcus, 114B Triangle Street, lot number J14119 and J14120. It's a violation of sections 4B2A, 9C2A, and 8A2C, subsection 4 of the zoning regulations. Large commercial vehicles and equipment are being stored and operated outside permitted junkyard area in violation of ZBA location approval effective July 20th of 1977. Such state results in an illegal expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use, also in construction of a large earthen berm within 5 feet of the property line. Do we have any questions regarding any of the correspondence? Under for reference only, we have the petition of JD Enterprises doing business as Midtown Cafe, 172 White Street for lot number J13002 for a special permit for restaurant beer and wine. That public hearing is scheduled for April 10th, our next meeting. With that, any other business or items to discuss? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Commissioner Estefan, seconded by Commissioner Kovacs. Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Adjourned.